On this episode, we finished the GT4 off with some engine bay goodies, some more satisfying things for your eyeballs.
Testimony, it can change one life for real. Oh yeah. Was I heard a testimony and it changed my life for real. Oh yeah.
Finally, we're going to be finishing off the GT4 with servicing and cleaning up the engine bay with a few things that are missing. But there's obviously, like I mentioned before, there's a lot of things that just aren't right and we don't know why they are like that. But again, it looks like someone's tried to fix things up with the aftermarket intake piping and blow-off valve, and even to like the brake pads. Like someone's put brand new stuff on but just never finished it. So really odd there, but we're gonna fix everything up. We got all the bits, all the tiny little things missing, including an oil cap, which I don't know why, but someone, all they had to do was just do, if I can even do it, that. Like, there's one thing done. So let's begin this journey. As we're going through the car, we found that some cool guy, maybe the last owner, added a boost T to get more power, obviously, out of his stock turbo. But we're going to get rid of that because, yeah, it's a bit silly. We're just going to put a loop from the actuator to the turbo, get rid of this, and get on with everything. But just like, yeah, these are cool here and there, like for a bit more power, but like, just not for this. Not for this car.
To remove the boost T, I also need to remove the entire intake system, which looks complicated, but it's actually quite easy.
So another weird thing about this car is that there's two plugs that definitely go into each other, but they don't reach. So upon research, a lot of research went into this, and for some reason, someone along the lines has just moved this plug here on this side from here, where it's supposed to be, onto the alternator, to this bit. So I don't know why, but we're going to fix that right now. Moving on to the intercooler, funny enough, we actually found the bracket for it underneath the seat. So now that we got that, we can put that underneath the intercooler, and the main rubber that goes to the intercooler is completely cracked and are super hard to find. But lucky enough, we got a metal one off an MR2 that'll go straight on, and then once that's done, we can put the good looking parts on. Let's get to it.
While the intercooler is removed, we may as well clean underneath. Before we use this bracket, we need to get rid of this rust ASAP. Surely sponsor us, Ryobi, please. Time for a bit of paint. Out with the old, in with the new. Due to the aftermarket silicone joiner being a bit too long for this, I need to cut it. The use of the new parts made it very difficult to put back together. Luckily, I have a buff cameraman that was able to help me out. Finally, I can drill out the snap bolt and re-tap it for our battery bracket. Which means this fuse box will finally be bolted to something. Now I can finally put this earth somewhere.
So for some reason, our stock strut brace that we got with the car is completely bent. I got no reason why, but since then, we've got no replacement. But this one does have a bit of rust and needs some painting. So let's go do that. So we've finally put this big puzzle piece of an engine bay together. Look how good it looks. Like, it looks insane. The strut brace to the intercooler to the battery bit down. Like, it's just, everything's there, which is so good. Obviously we are missing a few tiny things like the fuse box cover. Like, there's a few tiny little things that we don't have, that we can't find. So if you've got some of these parts, email me, message us, because we need these parts. But now it's time to service her. So let's do it. As we don't know when the last time anything was serviced, it's good to just do everything that has some sort of fluid in it. So the first thing we'll be doing is the rear diff.
Especially knowing that this celica has been left and abandoned for years, or maybe months, we don't know, it's best to replace it.
Now it's time for some gearbox. Oh, oh shit, never mind.
Luckily, the GT4 actually has plenty of room in the front to access everything. And so far, no sparkly bits in any of the oil yet. Thank God.
Make sure you tape your stuff up, because safety first. Be safe.
Using a hose that goes up through the engine bay, allowing you to stand, is the easiest way.
So we got the rear diff all done, we got the front diff and gearbox together done. Now it's time to do the oil and coolant. So we're going to give both of them a really good extreme flush, because we don't know when the last time they were flushed, we don't know what's in the system. We just want to get it all out and flushed out. So we're going to do that now, give it a basic service. But we do have to let it run for about 15 minutes while everything gets flushed out. So let's do it. words, you do have to start her up.
Make sure the heater is on during this process.
Cue the music.
After 15 minutes of the engine and cooling system being cleaned out, it's time to service her and get all the old stuff out. These K&N filters are pretty handy. Finally, let's bleed the coolant system.
So everything's done, interior, engine bay, we've sorted as many parts as we can, we've put them in the places that we think they belong to. Obviously there's a few tiny things like the fuse box holder, the rear parcel shelf. There's a few tiny things missing, but like they're things we can gradually get as we find them. But for now it runs great, it's idling really well, the interior looks like a normal car. So you ask next, what is next, eh? What's next? So basically we're trying to get her painted next, but it's with the COVID restrictions and all that sort of stuff, people are running in, getting their cars painted, so there's a bit of a lineup before we can get our car painted. So until then, we're going to clean her up, we're going to wash her, we're going to try and get her registered, we're going to get all the other stuff done and then get her painted. But if we can, we'll get her painted earlier. But see you next time, because this thing's going to get closer and closer to being an awesome car. See you then.